Welcome, everyone, to another segment of 21 Days of Self-Care. So today I'm joined with Minnie, who I've known for
A year now, almost.
about a year.
Yeah.
Our anniversary is coming up.
I know. We have
So
to do something fun
we have
about
to
it.
do something fun. So Minnie, tell everybody about yourself and what you do.
Hi, my name is Minnie. I am a holistic nutritionist. I also do many different things, as you know. I wear many different hats. But my main one is holistic nutritionist. I'm also the event planner. And I'm also a piano music teacher.
That is pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
How do you juggle all three of them at the same time, all the hats you wear?
I feel like I cannot be the 9 to 5 girl where I have to do just one thing. And how do I juggle it? That's a good question. I don't know. I just do.
You just do.
Yeah.
You just keep going
Just
until
keep
it's
going.
done.
Exactly. Look at the schedule. Where do I need to be? 1:30 here, 5 o'clock there. Kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like you do have a plan though. You schedule it in.
I do.
So that helps you to get to all your things.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I'm sure there's a lot of busy professionals watching this who can relate to that. And I know that you work closely with busy professionals. So tell us a
Yes.
little bit about why that's an area of passion for you.
I feel like holistic practitioner, it is a lonely world. And I remember working at an establishment, and every time after helping a client or something, I want to share. And I accept that, we all have our limits in knowledge. And even, with me, with holistic nutritionist, um, I'm at, one niche where another person is probably better studied at another thing.
Even within holistic nutrition.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Because there's just so much research or reading that I cannot do all those readings. And each reading, it gets me going deeper and deeper and deeper. And I cannot, read 10 billion books. I don't know anybody who can. Even within that realm, each person is specialized in different things. And when I saw that, I was like, who decide that, we treat patient one-on-one,
Okay.
and that's been the practice for the past however long of history, right? Why can't we gather together as a group? That way the client gets better treatment. And when I remember, that's actually from teaching piano. My teacher told me, the student eventually, when they are with you long enough, they adapt your good, but they also adapt your bad habits as well.
Of course.
And so when a new teacher comes in, they give some new insights. Same thing with holistic practices, right? You're not only providing what you could give to clients, but they also adapt sometimes your bad habit as well.
Right.
Or could adapt that.
So basically, if I'm hearing you correctly, like having a comprehensive approach where there's kind of like an interdisciplinary approach where people have different practices or even multiple practitioners within the same discipline working on the same person, they're more likely to get all the good and less of the bad. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. I think that's what holistic is about.
That's what holistic is about. Okay.
Yeah, like I'm expert in food, or I mean, I could help with the emotional part, but I'm not the expert at it.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And you want the best person.
So having like a psychotherapist who's working closely with a nutritionist, working closely. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the holistic
holistic
piece. Okay, very neat. Thanks for clarifying that. So go a little bit deeper about when you talked about food, right? And even the emotional part of food. I think people talk about that a lot. Emotional eating is something that comes up. So if you were to like flip that and say, okay, what would it look like if food was like your self-care?
Food is my self-care. Actually, I've been working on that on myself.
Okay.
For the past half a year. I feel like I think the number one message is just don't be too hard on yourself. Right? I've been, plant-based, I've been meat-based, I've been through all those diets kind of thing, or eating habits, I would like to call it. I don't like to call it diets. And for each of them, when you join the Facebook group, all you see is people criticizing what each other eats.
Right.
Right?
Right.
That's not a plant based.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's not good.
Yeah.
But I think the best thing is, I like to go with intuitive eating. And then also, like I said, it's all about, it's not about what you're not supposed to eat, but it's about balance, and that's my philosophy.
Right.
Because the more, us humans work really funny. When we say don't do this, you do it. Like, don't eat any cake, and you're like, I'm craving for cake.
I'm having cake for breakfast.
Exactly. Lunch and dinner.
Right.
Right. We just have this like rebellion built inside, which I call the inner child.
Okay.
Yeah, and my inner child is the baby Yoda, as a lot of people know. Actually, it's learning to communicate with that inner child, and how to help that inner child thrive as you help your physical body thrive.
Okay.
And I find a lot of times, especially nowadays when we have abundance of food, we no longer have to care for our physical as much as our emotional. We eat a lot because of our emotional self,
right,
instead of eating for our physical self.
Right. So in the past, we were eating mostly to survive, to stay strong, to carry out our tasks, whereas now we're eating to feel good.
Exactly.
Interesting. Very interesting. So how does that switch in the way we approach food? How can we kind of use that for our good? Is there a way we can like eat to feel good while eating good?
I think it's being creative.
Okay.
So that's one of my strengths, right?
Okay.
Being really creative with recipes. Okay. So, for example, you could eat a cake, make a healthier cake.
Right.
So you look at the ingredients. So what are the not so good ingredients in the cake? Like, I don't want to judge. All foods are good, except food, right? The definition of food, of course, different people.
Some varies. Of it is
yeah
borderline food. Like, does food coloring count as food?
No.
Okay.
Unless it's made from like beets and vegetables. So.
Right. There you go.
That's how I defined it. Right. And then and also how we perceive it as well. There's a psychological things about it, right? And there's many studies out there that are really interesting on how psychology also affect that. But that's another topic.
That's another topic altogether.
Exactly.
So what would you say to someone who's like, okay, great, I could get creative with recipes, I could make a healthy cake, but I have no time. When am I supposed to do that? The junk is easy. I can just grab it from the store. I can grab it from a fast food restaurant. Like, when do I have time to make like a almond cake, for example?
Yeah. And I think that's when we need that network. Right. So I mean, I love to be in the kitchen all the time, but I hate the cleaning, number one. That's why I'm not. Number two, it's we never have time, right? So I really want to start something where we collaborate with different restaurants or different home cook, where we could have that network of people who does those healthy things,
right?
And then do a meal plan or meal boxes for clients, where we could have them have that.
That is a very innovative idea. Drop it in the chat if you're interested in that. That sounds amazing. So basically having restaurants cook healthy food. So kind of like, to make it simple for people, you can just pick it up.
Exactly.
But it's healthy at the same time. And then how would that work for price point? Because that's the other thing popping up in my head is that, will that be super expensive, or is there a way to make it affordable?
Of course, like when you buy in bulk.
Okay.
Right? A lot of restaurants and things when you buy in bulk. So I have connection with farms. I have connection with providers. Where if you buy in bulk, they do give you higher discounts. You can negotiate some discounts and everything, right? Yeah.
I love that. So there's solutions, guys. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to eat unhealthy cake. Minnie will help you have connections with the people making the cake to make it healthy for you. And it won't be super expensive because you can buy bulk.
Exactly.
I love that. It's all about solutions. So here at TC Wellness, we're huge on solutions. We really are big on circulation, movement, and all of that stuff. How does nutrition tie into movement and circulation?
movement and circulation, as in physical or emotional?
Physical. Yeah.
Physical emotion. Well, nutrition is that base to give you that energy, right? So I think that's one of the reasons why I switch into a meat-based eating habit.
Okay, talk more about that.
I find that when we eat a meat-based or high-fat meat-based eating habits, we're utilizing fat storage and fats as ATP. So
break that down for those
sorry,
who are like, what is ATP?
I'm going way too far now. So
adenosine triphosphate. I can picture things in my head, but break it down.
Very easy. So your cell makes energy,
right?
So it could either take glucose, which is sugar, and then or it could take lipids, which is fats, to make ATP.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a study that shows that fats, when the cell takes the fat portion of it,
mm-hmm.
it creates more ATP,
mm-hmm.
and it takes in less energy to create more ATP.
Okay.
And I find that myself when I'm really disciplined on that fat and high fat and high meat eating habits, I do have more energy.
Okay.
And that actually gives me more motivation to do things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sugar like lessened it, and then whereas meat and high fat like promotes motivation to be more moving. That's from my own experience.
Right.
I'm starting to hear it from my clients as well.
Okay.
Where they're like, oh wow, yeah, I can see that, because you see people who are on high carb and high sugar levels,
right?
They're always like, oh, I'm shaky and I don't have the motivations, and I think that's probably why.
Yeah. Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly, high sugar, high carb diet equals low energy.
It's less motivation.
Less motivation, less energy.
Yeah.
Is it kind of like the crash? Like sometimes when people crash after a meal, like all of that stuff. So if you're experiencing any of that, maybe you want to switch some of what you're eating. I know keto is really popular. It's like high protein. So this is specifically high meat diet, like
high fat,
high meat. Okay, excellent. Okay, and then now let's talk more about circulation. So we see people who sometimes experience swelling in their legs. Their legs are tired from long days of work and stuff like that. And of course, some of it is really just circumstantial because of their field of work, or because they're pregnant, or because they went on a long flight or whatever. But some of it can also be internal, right? Yes. Like what they're eating. Exactly. So talk a little bit about that.
So I also have, like, I self-studied Chinese medicine.
Okay.
So and that's really interesting when you tie it into food and how food heals and things like that. Mm-hmm. So when Chinese medicine really look at the different attributes, like the cold and the heat, and it's all about qi, which is air or energy that moves it, and blood circulations. Mm-hmm. Okay, those are the 4 things that we really look at. So when you eat more of a carb or sugar or a vegetarian diet, mm-hmm. It's good for people who, at least for vegetarian diet, not the sugar. The vegetables actually cool down your blood, which slows things down. Right. Okay. And some people with really high heat body type needs that. Mm-hmm. But with me, I'm a very extremely cold attribute. Okay. Right. So I would need that meat and the fat to help promote that movement in our circulations. Mm-hmm. And then sugar and carb slows it down. Right. Totally.
For both types?
Both types.
Okay. Yeah. So if I'm hearing you correctly, depending on people's body types and how they're built, there's specific types of diets that might.
Exactly.
And that's probably why people are fighting against each other. Plant-based, meat-based. But sugar is universal. There's no one thriving on sugar. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Probably maybe hummingbird or something. Bees, Dang
it. I'm sure everybody was hoping that there is a body type that thrives on sugar, but it sounds like it doesn't exist.
I feel like sugar feeds emotion.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then it slows down the body, though.
Okay.
maybe there is some like things to it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. There could be a time for it, a time for everything.
Exactly. Like
Cool.
the balance, right?
The balance.
Exactly.
So give us one thing before we close. What is one thing that you think that a lot of people don't know about holistic nutrition or about food, or any of the things we've touched on today that you feel they need to know, like right now?
Right now, I think it's consciousness. We started to eat with no conscious. Like, if you think about it, how many times do you look at your food? Number one, thank the farmer, thank the people who actually made it possible to make it to your table.
Okay.
Number two, how often do you just sit there and eat it and meditate over your food? Right? Because even me, a lot of times, I'm watching something on YouTube. I'm busy doing that. And then there are parts of me where when I eat with my family's on their iPads, or they're not, communal eating.
Right.
How conscious are you when you're eating?
Right.
I think that's the most important lesson. And how conscious of your intuition and your feeling when you're eating the food.
Okay.
So when I said it's all about balance and it's okay to eat sugar and cake sometimes, is, are you making a conscious choice,
right, to eat that cake?
Yes,
I am.
And are you making a conscious choice to eat that vegetable?
Right. Yes.
And then what is your conscious choice of the consequences after?
Absolutely. Yes.
Right. So are you eating it just because I need that high, right? Or what is it that you truly need? So that consciousness, eating with consciousness.
I love that. I actually really love that, because I'm one of those people where I don't eat like cheap junk. So for me, right? It's like, if I'm gonna eat like the calories, if I'm gonna take that, it better taste amazing. Yes. Like, you will not catch me with store-bought cookies. I have zero temptation with that whatsoever. It better be like delicious, right? Yes. And then absolutely I will enjoy. So yeah, I get what you're saying. It's the whole process of the mindfulness, essentially, in what we're doing. Exactly. Well, thank you, Minnie. This has been wonderful. Welcome. Join us tomorrow for another edition of 21 Days of Self-Care. See ya.